Welcome to Against the Spread, the 2018 year in review edition. That's right. We're still going to be handicapping, but not games like we normally do. We're going to handicap the year in the National Football League. And if you missed everything, these are the 5 things you need to know about what we saw. And really, it's what Raiders fans didn't see. That's Khalil Mack. They didn't see him play for
and
their
sacks.
team.
They also haven't seen
They
sacks.
haven't seen many of those. They've seen John Gruden complain that they don't have any sacks. Khalil Mack being traded from the Raiders to the Bears, basically on the eve of the season, changed the landscape of those 2 teams, those 2 franchises, those 2 divisions. What do you think about what we saw with Mack?
I mean, it has to be the biggest roster move that we saw this offseason. And like you said, it came right on the eve of the new season. It transformed the Bears defense into one that was good and looking promising into one that is now great, or maybe championship caliber, the way that we've seen the Bears dominate throughout the season. So he has 12.5 sacks. The Raiders have 11. And what it's really done is signaled the beginning of something great for the Bears and the beginning of a terrible rebuild in Oakland, which is going to be hard to go through for the fans of that team, wherever they may be next year. So really, it's on this list because it's the biggest roster move we saw in 2018.
Yeah, and it signaled where these organizations are going.
Yeah.
The Raiders would then trade Amari Cooper.
Right.
So the fire sale was totally on. Where the Bears, I thought it might be a little bit diminishing returns. You're making a pretty good defense better, but I thought their issues would be offensively. But it's actually given that offense a platform to take some risks. Matt Nagy has been able to be aggressive and know that you're not going to necessarily be screwed if you make a mistake. And you're going to have a short field with which to try and score points. And that's why this Bears team has won the division. They finally break that streak of not winning the NFC North. And that's why they're a real Super Bowl contender. So yeah, you don't see many big trades in the NFL, but this is one that I think we're going to be talking about for a long, long time. Coming in at number 4, something you need to remember happened in 2018, and it feels so long ago. I forgot that it happened in 2018. Jags Steelers combined for 87 points in a game, not a preseason game or a regular season game, in a playoff game. Playoffs, that's right, Jim Moore, in a playoff game. How did this happen?
I don't know how this happened, and that's partly why this game is on this list of memorable moments from the year, because the week before this game took place, the Jags only put up 10 points in one of the worst playoff games I've ever seen against the Bills, and then went on the next week and pushed the Patriots right to the brink of elimination before they eventually bowed out and New England went to the Super Bowl. And now you look at Jacksonville, and they're the worst offensive team maybe this season, and you wonder what happened. Blake Bortles isn't even the starting quarterback there anymore. And at one point in this game, they had a 28-7 lead, and then they had 2 more monster leads that the Steelers ended up coming back from. And that's another point as to why I think this is a big game, because you see now with the Steelers' struggles offensively, some of the big playmakers they no longer have. Le'Veon Bell featured heavily in this game. He had a huge game, and Martavis Bryant as well played a big role in this game. So not only was it just a fun 87-point game to watch, but it really shows how things can change in the course of just a few months.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to force that change. And self-assessment is key in life. It's really key as far as football and managing your roster. And the takeaways from those organizations of that game were the Jaguars felt like, oh, maybe we have a quarterback in Blake Bortles, and we're going to double down, and we're going to make him our QB of the future and give him some money. And the Steelers said, oh, maybe we need to address our defense. And it's not much better, but it's marginally better, and that's why they're still in a playoff hunt, and why the Jaguars aren't even close.
Right.
And so, to me, that's why this is really important, is because of the information those organizations got from that game and where they've gone since. Coming in at number 3 is a guy who refuses to settle for threes. I'm not talking about jump shots, I'm talking about field goals, because all he does is throw touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes, which is not really a moment, more like a revolution. And he has the Chiefs playing offensive football better than we've ever seen an Andy Reid team play.
Yeah, definitely. He is part of this list because of what Andy Reid has been able to do. They've almost created a new offense based around Patrick Mahomes. Air raid style from college and then West Coast from what Andy Reid has done. So it's so much fun to watch. And from the very beginning, this guy was dominating. In just his second season, he threw 14 touchdowns and no picks in his first 4 games. He's on pace for more than 50 touchdowns through the end of this season. And he does the trick plays. He throws left-handed when he wants to. He does those no-look passes. The guy is changing the game, and I think we'll look back on Patrick Mahomes in 5 or 10 years and look at the quarterbacks who are coming in after and see this as a point where the position changed again.
Yeah, I mean, he's in MVP conversation, in the record-breaking chase conversation.
Yeah.
We look at quarterbacks when they start their careers as a referendum around, do you sit a guy and let him learn, or do you throw him out there and see what you have and let him learn with real-time reps? A lot of people thought Mahomes was going to be the test case to say, this is why you sit someone. He's played so well. I think it's a test case as to why wasn't he playing over Alex Smith last year. He's been so good, and he has, in a football sense, almost like a Steph Curry factor of someone who you want to watch, you want to follow what people are talking about on social media. A no-look pass in a football game is something I never thought I would see. Now, I'm not surprised what he does from week to week. Now, depending on who you were betting for or who you happen to cheer for, you may really love or really hate our number 2 selection. It inspired a lot of Viking claps, and that is the Vikings, the Minneapolis Miracle that we saw in the playoffs a year ago. What did you think when you saw that play happen?
I was shocked. I mean, just like everybody else, I kept looking for a flag. I kept looking for things that might have gone wrong to stop this from happening. For me, it's actually such a great memory because I was at a bar in Toronto and Danish actor Mads Mikkelsen sat next to me and we watched that game together. And as I'm explaining American football to him and saying that this game is all but done, that happens. So it's just one of those moments that it's one of those you'll remember where you were when it happened moments, and it was unbelievable. Still to this day, I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, I thought at the moment, I felt the decision not to just go out of bounds, which is what you think you do was key. The decision to go low and not hit high, and I think it was out of fear of potentially getting a penalty, obviously was key. But also, the Vikings, even after that, made the decision not to give Case Keenum any money. And they said, we've seen enough, we're going in a different direction. It was such a fun play to see live, and it was a reminder of why all of the bad talk about the NFL over the last year, it was a reminder of how fun the sport can be in a big game.
To me, I also wonder whether it took the steam out of their team as they went to Philadelphia and were just terrible in that NFC title game. So they didn't really use it as momentum. It kind of went the other way against them, and who knows what could have been had that not taken place. So great play, but how did it really affect the Vikings? And like you said, Keenum came out and had a stinker in the NFC title game and was gone.
Yeah,
so
it's a great point.
Yeah.
So coming in at number 1, and I'm sure you know what this is. I'm sure you especially know what this is because the curator of the list is a proud fan of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Regardless, it's undoubtedly the top moment, but I am a little biased.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Philly special. Yeah. Great name, number 1, for a trick play. And the fact that a trick play was the biggest play in the Super Bowl is also massive. So many thoughts on not just this play, but this game. What's the first thought that comes to mind?
I mean, the guts that it had to call that play is really what comes to mind watching it. I mean, I was in a daze the whole time that this game was on, so I had to go back and watch it a bunch of times. But it's the guts that they had to make this call. It's 4th down. It's in the Super Bowl. A field goal is there, and it's a chip shot. So you take the points. But the fact that Nick Foles went to Doug Peterson, calls that play, catches that touchdown, and it gave them a 10-point halftime lead, which ended up being a crucial amount of points, because at the end of the game, if they hadn't have taken the touchdown and just taken the field goal, it could have been a kicking situation for the Patriots to win the game. So it ended up being huge in one of the most fun Super Bowls we've watched in a long time. And I mean, it's like you said, it's called the Philly Special. It went down in lore immediately.
Yeah, I mean, what's the saying? Fortune favors the bold. Well, that is pretty bold. You've got a young coach, first Super Bowl, going up against Bill Belichick and the Patriots. You think you have to play clean and perfect in order to win, and so far you're doing well. But tell that to the Atlanta Falcons. We saw what happened there. You got a backup quarterback who's, as you mentioned, calling for this play, a play that Twitter would soon tell us that he actually ran in high school as well, and then they pull it off flawlessly. And to me, it embodies not just that Super Bowl, but that team. Think about them wearing the underdog masks, just embracing the fact that they're underdogs, and that fan base finally kind of getting over the hump in football specifically, and seeing all of the fans celebrate, climbing light posts, eating dog food, right?
Philly.
Like, it just embraced the fact that, like, yeah, we're not afraid of anything. We're not afraid of the Patriots. We're not afraid of the moment. We're not afraid of 4th and 1. Yeah, we're going to do a trick play, and we're going to throw it to Nick Foles, not the most athletic quarterback in the world.
Far from it.
But evidently he's more athletic than Tom Brady, because Tom Brady was not a good receiver in that very game. It was such an awesome play. Kudos to you, Philly. The Philly Special is the #1 play, according to us. But it's our definitive list, so deal with it. Honorable mention, a couple personal selections to us of things or narratives or people that didn't make the list. To me, it's Le'Veon Bell. And although I think he might be a trendsetter, not necessarily sure not playing a game of football during the past season is going to be that beneficial in the long run. And so I like the bravery, my guy, but I don't necessarily know if I like the execution. You didn't make the list because you didn't make any plays this year other than tweeting emojis. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and that Week 1 comeback. He came up against a Bears team that many thought could be on the verge of a breakout, and then they kind of savaged him in that first quarter, and he suffered a knee injury, got carted off the field. It looked like his season was done before it even started. And then he came back basically on one knee and torched the Bears in peak Aaron Rodgers fashion. And it looked to be like the beginning of what could turn into a great Aaron Rodgers year. It didn't work out that way, but for it to be in Week 1, the first Sunday night game of the year, for me, it was one of the highlights of the season.